Hey guys, it's Sagar from TechWorks, and here is my detailed camera review of the Realme X. You guys have been asking me for this video ever since this phone was announced, so I purchased it as soon as it went on sale in India. But since it has been raining continuously in my city, it made it difficult for me to get these image samples, making this video a bit late. But that also gave me some more time to shoot lot of image and video samples in various lighting conditions. Towards the end, I have also included a few image samples that I shot with the Gcam app for this Realme X, so make sure that you watch this complete video. Just like the Realme 3 Pro, this Realme X also comes with a dual camera setup at the back. While both the camera modules might look similar at a glance, we actually have an upgraded set of cameras at the back of the Realme X. It gets the 48MP Sony IMX586 sensor as its primary camera, and it is coupled with f1.7 aperture and a 26mm lens. Secondary camera gets a 5MP depth sensor, and it is only used for sensing depth information for portrait shots. It can shoot 4K videos at 30fps, 1080p videos at up to 120fps, and 240 or 960fps slow motion videos at 720p resolution. The motorized pop-up front-facing camera gets a 16MP sensor with f2.0 aperture and a 25mm wide lens. Before getting to the image and video samples, let us talk about these skins for the Realme X from our sponsor, Capes India. They offer a wide variety of skins in various designs for a lot of devices. Since the back of this Realme X is made of glossy plastic, it gathers smudges and scratches very easily. Using Capes India skins will help you protect the back from getting scratched, and it also provides a good grip to your device, making it less likely to slip out of your hands. Head over to Capes India's website by clicking on the link in the description and use the code TechWorks to get a 10% discount on your order. Starting with the daylight images. Now, as I mentioned before, it has been raining in my city for the last few weeks, so I couldn't get any images in bright sunlight. But these images in overcast conditions should give you a pretty good idea of the cameras that this Realme X packs in. There is no shortage of details in these daylight images. The primary camera manages to capture sharp and detailed images even when you get indoors during the day. I feel the colors that the Realme X captures are a bit more saturated than the actual scene, and there is also a bit more contrast in these images. I like the colors to be represented accurately in my images, but color is a personal choice, and some of you may prefer these saturated punchy colors, and there is nothing wrong with that. Dynamic range on this primary camera is not the best in the auto mode. It tries to make things a bit better when you switch to the HDR mode, but even then, there is not a huge improvement in most of these images. It does bring up some details from the shadows when the HDR mode is turned on, but it doesn't do a very good job of preserving the highlights. In some of the shots when the HDR mode does make a big difference, images start to look very processed, as you can see in this shot. All of these have been 12MP images shot in auto mode, but if you want, you can even shoot 48MP images with this Realme X. If you have been watching my videos for some time, you might notice that the 48MP images from this sensor barely have any more details than the normal 12MP ones, and in many cases, those images even show more noise than the 12MP ones, especially in lower light. On top of that, these 48MP images are also huge in terms of file size, without giving us any noticeable advantage over the default 12MP images. So I always suggest you guys to stick with the default 12MP mode for all of your shots. If you still want to use the 48MP mode, try and limit its use for taking photos of landscapes or architecture, and that too only when there is plenty of light. Coming to the close-up shots. Realme X is very quick at switching the focus from far to near objects, which means it makes it very easy to set the focus on a nearby object, so you can get amazing close-up shots like these. The subject is in perfect sharp focus, and thanks to a wide f1.7 aperture, the background gets very nice optical blur. I love taking these close-up shots just as much as I love taking portrait shots. I know many of you guys don't even use the portrait mode, but for me, this is one of the most used modes on any smartphone, and I always switch to portrait mode whenever I have people in my shots. Realme X does really well to separate the subject from background, and the overall image has a very nice look to it. That being said, the edge detection is not perfect, and as you can see, it misses out on certain parts of glasses on the cap in this image. I hope Realme is aware of this and is working on making this mode better with software updates. Realme X can also take portrait mode images of objects, and I feel the edge detection is a bit better while capturing these shots. By the way guys, I'm curious that how many of you actually use the portrait mode for taking images of objects. I have been told that I am one of the very few people who do this, but I am sure there are quite a few of you who do this too. So if you are someone who does this, let me know in the comments. Moving to indoor, artificial and low lighting conditions. Just like the Realme 3 Pro, Realme X also does really well when the light goes down. These images might not be as detailed as from some of the other flagship smartphones, But for a phone which is starting at under 20,000 rupees, these images are pretty impressive. Just look at the amount of details in these shots. Sure, you will see some noise as we zoom in, but that is true with any phone that we have in the market. And for taking shots like these, Realme X continues to show good focusing speeds even in such lower lighting conditions. But if these images are not detailed enough for you, then there is a nightscape mode which helps you take even better images in lower light. The difference is not as big as the night mode of the Pixel phones, but the images shot with the night sight mode on the Realme X do have a bit more light and details in them. There is a lot of noise in some of these night sight images, but what would you prefer? Dark images with no noise and barely anything to see, or good looking images with some amount of noise creeping in? I know I prefer the latter. But like with most other phones, these night sight images take a few seconds to capture, so you need to hold the phone steady, and more importantly, your subject also needs to be steady for these images to be good and sharp. I just find it best to use the night sight mode for capturing non-moving objects or scenes. Now you guys always ask me to make these videos again with Gcam installed on these phones. So keeping that in mind, I have included a few Gcam samples in this video itself. It was pretty overcast, so I had the HDR mode enabled on the native camera app and the HDR Plus enhanced turned on the Gcam app. And yes, I have adjusted the HDR and saturation parameters in the Gcam app to get the best possible results. With that, we see the HDR mode on the Realme X's native camera app gave us better looking images. Now there is less noise and slightly better details in Gcam's images, but you won't notice it unless you zoom in a lot, and overall images from the native camera app look much better in the first look. We see the same thing in this second set of images, and there is a bit more saturation in the image from the native camera app, which depending on your color preference, you may or may not like. The images from the Gcam are good and have more details, but you will need to edit them a bit to make them look even better. But I appreciate how Realme has optimized the camera software on the Realme X, so most of the images that you take look good straight out of the camera. The real magic of the Gcam app is unleashed when we move to lower lighting situations. Right out of the camera, even in the auto mode, we see images from the Gcam showing much more details, whereas the one from the native camera app is just too soft in comparison. Things get even better when the night mode on the Gcam and night sight mode on the native camera app is turned on. Now there is already good amount of light in this image, so the difference is not very apparent unless we zoom in. There is a much bigger difference once we move to even lower lighting situations. This was the actual amount of light present, and the native camera app on the Realme X in normal auto mode shows a lot of noise in the image. And here is the same image shot with the auto mode on the Gcam app. Just look at the difference. Things get even interesting with the night mode turned on in both the apps. Look at the amount of light being captured by Gcam, and it shows more details as we zoom in, while the image from the native camera app on the Realme X just looks like a watercolored picture when we zoom in. You will see this trend in all of the following images. So although the Gcam is not very useful while taking images in daylight, it takes much better images once the light goes down. So if you take a lot of images in lower light, give the Gcam mod a try. Just be aware that it is a bit difficult to find a working Gcam mod for this or any other phone, and even when you find one that works fine, you will have to dig deep in the settings and make a lot of changes for the images to turn out just the way you like them. In the description, I have left a link to the Gcam mod that I've used in this video. That brings us to the front-facing camera. The 16-megapixel front-facing camera is good for capturing everyday selfies. It captures a lot of details with good colors, and overall images look pleasing. But the sensor doesn't seem to offer 16-megapixel worth of details, if you know what I mean. I feel that the Realme 3 Pro has got a slightly better selfie camera. We will of course find this out when I compare the two in the camera comparison video, which should be coming in the next few days. It is good at taking portrait selfies. Edge detection is good, but the dynamic range while taking these portrait shots take a big hit. And in most of the cases where we would expect the background to be well exposed, this Realme X just blows it up completely and almost all of the details are lost. It can take 4K 30fps videos, but these videos are not stabilized. You get electronic stabilization when you switch to 1080p resolution. Realme X can take 1080p slow motion videos in 120fps, and it can go even further to take 240 or 960fps slow motion videos in 720p resolution, and here are a few examples of that. Now after looking at all the image and video samples from this Realme X, I have to say that I am impressed with the cameras on this phone. Images turned out to be really good in almost all lighting conditions, and I don't think there is a lot to complain about here. Which means this is a very good phone to consider if you are in the market for a new smartphone under 20,000 rupees which has a really good set of cameras. And it also means that the Redmi Note 7 Pro and the Realme 3 Pro have got a tough competition in the camera department. To find out which one of these has a better set of cameras, I am going to put them up against each other in one of my next videos. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel and have the notifications turned on so you don't miss out when those videos come out. Until then, if you are planning to get the Realme X, I will appreciate if you get it from the affiliate link in the description section. Doing this helps the channel at no extra cost to you. That is it for this video guys. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to the channel for more quality tech videos like this. You can also check out some of the other videos from this channel. This has been Sagar and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.